Welcome everybody. My name is Mr.Marcus and you are watching the People's Conservatory virtual training. Today we're going to be doing graffiti art basics. Today what you will need: number 2 pencils, make sure they're nice and sharp, a black Sharpie marker if you have one, any other black marker will do, and assorted colors. I prefer colored pencil because you could do shading effects and you could also go bold with them. Last but not least, your black book. If you don't have a black book, you can always use blank drawing paper. So today what we're going to do is we're going to stick with the blank paper. Thank you for joining us and let's get started. So first off, what we want to do is bring our paper horizontal. Because any good graffiti piece, we want to start with the basic sketch, and we want to do it horizontal because essentially your piece is going to extend from side to side. So for your reference, we're going to go ahead and use the word graffiti art today. And what I'd like you to do is somewhere on your paper, anywhere in the corner, go ahead and write that word. Graffiti. And the word art, A-R-T. I'd like you to follow along as best you can. If I move fast, don't worry, because I will let you see what I'm doing and how to do it as we go, along with the actual final product. So do your best, and remember, your graffiti art piece is your piece. It does not have to look exactly like mine. I'm more here just to guide you in the structure and how to model your piece. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and look at the word we wrote up here, which was graffiti art. And we're going to start with our G. Not exactly a bubble style, but it's going to have a sort of wavy feel to it. But it's also going to have a bit of a graffiti style to it. And what I'm going to do I like hearts, I like spades, and also I'm going to follow the kind of wavy yet sharp pattern that I'm kind of working with here. And really, it's more of a freestyle, so you can really get creative with your styles. As long as you know what your letters look like normally, then you'll be all right in modeling your letters here in your graffiti style. Now, if you notice right in this area, the letter, you can't really see behind it, right? So you got to kind of imagine where that letter would actually fall in place. You're more than welcome to do ghost lines, is what I like to call them, because I draw them very light. Now this way you can kind of see where your letters would actually be. Later you can erase them, but for now, it'll at least help you in creating your full piece. I'm going to move along, and here we go. We're going on with the A. And I will just keep continuing. with the F. And again, I got a little swoop here, so you can kind of see where I went along and just drew through the other letter. That way you can erase later and change it and fix it. Now, something I like to do with my eyes specifically is I like to flip them upside down and give it just a little bit more of a abstract graffiti art kind of feel. You don't have to, but I usually do it. Now, you have to imagine where the lines would actually fall in place. And I'm going to give my T a little bit of a curve on the end. Now we got one more letter left, which is the I. And this time, I'm going to keep my I almost looking like a traditional letter I. And then the dot to my I will be just kind of floating around here behind the T. Now we have our full piece. I'm going to go ahead and let you take a look at it. And if you noticed, I went in and I erased my ghost lines, okay, to clean it up a bit. And if you need a little bit of time, you can go ahead and pause the video. But there it is, graffiti. Next step, what I'd like you to do, go ahead and grab your Sharpie marker. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and trace over our lines and get a nice, dark, thick outline. So let's get that black Sharpie marker out. Do your best, stay in the lines, trace them. And what I like about the Sharpie is that you can actually alter your letters now that you have a thicker utensil to work with. So if there are some lines that you're not completely happy with, you can actually go in and change the look of your piece. So continue on. And if you notice, I'm actually changing how some of the letters were actually drawn to begin with. And that's perfectly okay. See what I did right there? Instead of a square end, I made it a point, so it can match the rest of the letters. Just be careful because the Sharpie has a thicker end than a pencil. And when you are going to change some of the lines here, just keep in mind that it is a little thicker than the pencil lead, so just be careful. And try to be as precise as possible. If you notice, I'm actually adding a couple of extra little overlap lines. And what that does is it gives my piece a little more depth and detail. Feel free to try it. And there we are. Now if you look at your piece, you'll notice that I still have some pencil lines. Go ahead and go in there and let's get rid of all these additional lines that were left over, and this will clean up our piece. Now that you have traced your piece fully and got rid of all the ghost lines and all the extra lines you didn't need, what we're going to do now is add something called 3D. We've done this before in my class, but I'll go over it again. And basically what you want to do is find each point. Wherever there's a bend that meets a point, I want you to find that and draw a line aiming in the direction of your choice. I have picked bottom right. And what you're going to do is draw a line from each of those points at every intersecting point of the piece. Now, some of these may be harder to get to than others, but again, you'll have to figure that out and make it work. Now, as you can see, what I did here is I brought the line down. That's what we're going to do with the rest of these lines once we get all the points added in. Alrighty? Now, you don't want to go too far, because what we're going to do is we're going to connect them. And really, all of these lines are not going to connect because they're hidden. So some of them you won't really have to worry about. And once you get that done, we will go ahead and connect. Now that you have all your corners met and your intersections, what we're going to do is connect them edge to edge. And how that works is you just follow along what the shape of the letter already is and trace. Now, some of your lines may be a little shorter. You can go ahead and extend those like I just did right there, just so they match up the rest of the piece. Now, for example, this area here, the leg of the R is kind of hidden, right? So again, you got to kind of guess where that leg would actually meet. And as you can see there, it's starting to take the three-dimensional shape. Now, once you have all of these connected, it will all make that much more sense, and your piece will start to look three-dimensional. Now, for example, this area here, there's still some dead space. So what you want to do is, again, just guess, not guess, but estimate right where the letters would actually meet. Same thing right here. There's an inside piece. So now you can see it's taking shape. Go ahead and finish that up. And once you do that, you will see the results. And if you're not completely sure what's happening, go ahead and rewind the video. And there we go. Now that we have taken our black Sharpie marker and completed the outline of the piece, what I'd like you to do now is go ahead and trace over the rest of the 3D, and that will conclude lesson 1 for the day. When you're finished with that, next class we will continue with color and a little more detail. Until then, finish up your outline, finish up your 3D, and thank you very much for tuning in to the People's Conservatory online virtual graffiti art with me, Mr. Marcus. Tune in next week, and we will continue with color and detail. Be careful with the inside pieces because they can tend to get a little hard to keep track of. But again, as long as you know what your letters look like and where each piece is supposed to be, you should be all right. Last but not least, go ahead and erase all of your ghost lines to make your piece nice and clean. Looks like I missed a corner here, but boom. There we have it. Again, tune in next week, and we'll continue with color.